So today I'm going to talk about this booklet that I have. You can earn a fortune in finder's fees, special report. This is from 1987, believe it or not, but a lot of the concepts that are going on today can be found in this booklet. Whether it's wholesaling real estate, or whether it's drop shipping, or whether it's creating an LLC, this is, for example, you look at the real estate options market, you find somebody, right? The guy on Facebook talks about a hedge fund. You could probably go to your county website and you could probably find a list of people that paid cash or are non-owner occupants, or maybe they're out-of-state owners, obviously for existing properties. In fact, actually, that's probably one good way to do it, is to find out-of-state owners, right? So they're most likely, well, they might not necessarily be in an investor, but at least for that one property, right? They might not necessarily be a cash buyer. So you'd have to find some way to get a cash buyer. But essentially, the wholesaling market, I'm sure most of you know, you go out, you find a property, it looks run down, it's got overgrown vegetation, it's got dirty windows, maybe it's got a bad roof. And so you do a little research and you figure out that it's probably worth $200,000 fixed up, right? So I guess that's the ARV, the actual retail value. Or maybe adjusted retail value. I'm not even really sure. But let's say it's $200,000. As a wholesaler, you got to come in at least 60%, right? So you're going to offer 120. And then your wholesaler is going to, I'm sorry, not your wholesaler, your flipper is going to typically pay 70%, which is 140. So you buy it for 120, you sell it for 140. The dude that buys it maybe puts in $20,000 to fix it up, so he's in it for 160, but now it's worth 200. So you can make $20,000 on that. And what's really great is with the prices today, let's say you find a property that's worth $400,000. You buy it for $240. I mean, you could even pay 65%. Right? So you might pay $260. And then the flipper comes in, he pays 70%, which is $280. And then he puts in, I don't know, $60,000. So he's in it for $340. So he can make a quick $60,000 profit. Or if he wants to do the lease option, right, he can lease it out to somebody, get a, I don't know, 10% down payment, so he gets $40,000 up front, and then he lease options it to a buyer at, let's see, 1%, I don't know, 0.5%. So if he rented it out at 1%, that'd be $4,000 a month. I don't know if that's legit or not, but that's basically how you would work it, right? So you lease option it, you get a $40,000 down payment, and then you get $4,000 a month rent. And then let's see if we can figure out how much that would be. in your monthly. Oh my God, 7 million! Holy crap! Wow. All right, so here's one for 420. Oh, that's a condo. I don't want to mess with that. All right, this looks like a regular house right here. I'm going to go down here to monthly payment. I'm going to edit this. I'll make this 400. Oop. I'll mark this up as 10%. .7% interest, property tax $238, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, mortgage insurance, homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance. All right, so that comes out to $23.26. No. $23.26 is the principal and interest. Taxes, insurance. I guess they have the mortgage insurance in there. All right, so they have it at $28.44. So you could charge anywhere from $2,400 up to, $4,000 if you needed to, and that would cover your mortgage, whatever mortgage you have. And then the difference would be your monthly cash flow, right? So let's say you charge them $2,900 for rent. Your payments are $23.26, and that's with 10% down. So that's you're calculating what their rent payments are going to be based on 90% of the ARV. What you're in it for could vary, right? So you might have refinanced for 80%, which would make your payment, because now you're dumping the mortgage insurance, you're adding another 10%. So now your payment is $23.98. That's $23.98. What was it before? Yeah, $28.44. Wow. That doesn't seem like a lot. All right, so it goes from 28. Wait a minute. Where did the 28? Yeah. Yeah, so they got to pay you at least $29 a month. You're going to refinance for 80%. So your payment is going to be $23.98. So let's say 24. And they're going to pay you $29. So you're making a $500 a month cash flow, plus you got the $40,000 for the down payment. And that's it. That's the deal. They can buy the house for $360,000 anytime in the next 2 years. You give them a 2-year lease option. And that's it. That's the end of the deal. So that's how the wholesaling works. But anyway, so that's similar to this finder's fee, right? There's another opportunity in unclaimed property, which in one sector is basically cash. So it could be abandoned bank account. It could be an insurance payment, an overpayment of insurance. It could be life insurance proceeds. It could be dividends. I saw dividends. So if you go to your state treasury department website and search for unclaimed property, you can, in most states, become a finder. And what they'll do is they'll give you a list of people whose name appears in this unclaimed property list, and you can go out and find them or their heirs, and you can offer to recover this money for them in exchange for a small commission or a small fee. And it usually ranges from 15 to 25%. And so all you do is you write a letter, you send an email, whatever you need to do. You say, hey, my name is Rick. I help people recover lost funds. Your name appears on a list of people that have unclaimed funds. You're not obligated to work with me. You can go and make the claim yourself. If you'd like me to help you make the claim, I'd be happy to do it. I charge a fee of 15% of the recovered amount. If you'd like more information or to move forward, just reply to this email or send this little card back, if you're using the post office or whatever. And you just go from there. I'll tell you more about that in another video. So the basics of the finder's fee program is buyers and sellers, right? So people are advertising that they want to buy certain things, like widgets. And there are people out there that have widgets that they're trying to get rid of. And you as a finder can put these two people together in exchange for a fee. Now, you could get a fee directly from the buyer, you would get a fee directly from the seller typically, right? It's like selling real estate. The seller pays the commission, at least they used to. And it works the same way in finder's fees. The seller typically pays the fee. Now, if you have a line of credit, or you have ready cash, I wouldn't use cash, but if you have a line of credit, let's say you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you haven't used it, you can buy something, you can charge something to the credit card the day following the billing date. Let's say it's the 3rd of the month. So let's say that you buy something on the 4th, okay? You don't have to pay that bill until 25 days after the following 4th, okay? So you literally have at least 55 days of interest-free loan. You can basically get an interest-free loan for 55 days using a credit card with a zero balance. And that's actually another concept I want to talk about. So we're going to do finder's fees. And we're going to do real estate terms. And we're going to do 55 days interest-free loan. 55-day interest-free loan using your credit card. All right, so let's say somebody is selling $1,000 of widgets, and you think you can get them sold for $1,200. So you go over to the buyer, to the seller. You go over to the buyer, right? And you say, hey, I've got this source that has these widgets that you're looking for. And there's a letter in this booklet, right? That I'm going to be redoing here. Let's go back to the beginning here. Letter widgets. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to try and set up a finder's fee. First of all, it's not a dealer, not a seller, and not a representative or agent for either the buyer or the seller. You're an independent person. What you do is you're a matchmaker basically. You match buyers and sellers, qualified buyers and qualified sellers. So first thing you want to do is present yourself as a professional business. If you want to do a sole proprietorship, if you want to do an LLC, that's on you. What you could do, if you wanted to avoid fees initially, or if you just want to test it out, use your last name or some combination of your first name, middle name, and last name, and then just tack on the name associates or enterprises. You could use your initials, right? You could use ABC Enterprises if your name is, Andrew Biddle Carlson, right? ABC. Or, if your name's Donald J. Trump, you do DJT, right? DJT Enterprises, DJT Associates. If you're using your own name or your initials, you don't have to pay anybody anything. That can be your business name. You don't have to register. You don't have to, pay for any kind of fees or anything. So then you get your letterhead, right? So your DJT Associates, and then your New York, New York. And then if you want a tagline, you can put a tagline in there. Use chat or Copilot to think up a few for you. And so essentially what you're going to do is you're going to start sending out letters, or in this case, emails. You don't want to ask them if they're paying a finder's fee initially. You want to tell them that let's see. So letterheads, envelopes, business cards. You're a business research specialist. There you go. That's your tagline. File folders, carbon paper, envelopes, and such. Okay, so here's your email. Dear sir, your search for widgets has interested me to the point that I have actively searched my contacts. I believe I have found a contact who can satisfy your requirements. My contact is capable of selling you, 1,000 widgets. If you will clearly state, okay, so you do ask for a finder's fee in this case. If you will clearly state the terms of your finder's fee offer, okay, so in some cases, a person might advertise and say, hey, I'm looking for 1,000 widgets, and I'll pay, I'll pay $1 a piece, or I'll pay $2 a piece, or I'll pay you $50 if you find them, or $100, or whatever it is. Other times, you'll find an individual who just says, I buy Lionel toy trains, or I buy Legos, or I buy, whatever it is. In that case, you wouldn't necessarily, you could do it, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could say, I typically charge a finder's fee or a commission to put buyers like you in touch with sellers like the one that I have. And would this be agreeable to you, right? Upon successful conclusion of the transaction, I will furnish the appropriate name and address so you can make direct contact. So that's one option. The other option is to say, okay, well, this guy says he's going to pay $2 a widget. So you say, if you will clearly state your intentions of paying $2 per widget for these 1,000 widgets that I can get to you, do we have an agreement? And if he says yes, then that's essentially an offer and consideration and is a valid legal contract that we'll hold up in court. And I'm not a lawyer, so don't hold me to that, but those are the basics of contract law. So then what you do is you take your credit card and you go to the buyer, you go to the seller, and you say, hey, I'd like to buy these 1,000 widgets from you for $1 a piece. And because that's what they were offering. And the guy says, okay, fine. So what you do is you put together an agreement. And what I would do is I would have multiple credit cards, right? So I would have one credit card with a billing date maybe on the 1st, and then maybe have another one that's on the 10th, and another one that's on the 20th. And you would pick between those 3 cards, and then hopefully each of those cards has at least $3,000 to $5,000 credit limit, and they're unused, right? So the balance is 0. So let's say you pick the 10th, right? So you make an agreement with the seller. You say, look, I'll buy all your stuff from you on the 10th. Okay, now remember, it's not the billing date. It's the day after the billing date that you need to start buying stuff. The billing date ends the cycle, right? So from the 11th to the 10th would be one billing cycle. The billing cycle ends on the 10th. The 11th would be the first day of a new billing cycle, and that's when you start using your credit card to buy stuff. And you can use that credit card interest-free for 55 days. So it's an interest-free loan. So you spend the $1,000. And then you go to the seller. You go to the buyer. And you say, hey, I got these 1,000 widgets. You agreed to pay me $2,000. The guy says, yeah, of course. So you take the widgets over to him. He pays you $2,000. Let's say you do that on the 20th. Well, let's say you do it on the 20th. All right, so it took you 10 days to do that. So now he gives you $2,000, right? You charge $1,000 on your credit card. Before the end of the billing cycle, right, which is the 10th, but not for 60 days, right? So the first day of the billing cycle is the 11th. The last day of the billing cycle is the 10th of the next month. Then you usually have 25-day grace period to make that payment. So that's where the 55 days comes in, okay? You got 55 days of interest-free loan. So you take $1,000 of the $2,000, you pay off the credit card in full, and you keep the $1,000 profit, and you stick that in your pocket. So there it is. I mean, it's literally that simple. So let's get back to the. Let's see. Yeah, so that's that. So the first thing you want to do is you need to put together a list of contacts. And what I did back in 1987 or 1995, whatever year it was that I got this, computers weren't really very big then. So the suggestion was to get the 3-ring binders, right? So you get one for buyers and one for sellers. And, you know, you can, I mean, there's 80 pages or 100 pages or whatever it is. I actually have one around here someplace. Ugh. Ugh. But I can't seem to find it. But all I did was I wrote buyers on the one, and then I wrote sellers on the other. And what I did was, if I found somebody that was a buyer or a seller, and it was just verbal, then I would just write down their name, their phone number, and the type of product that they're interested in. If it was from a newspaper, I'd oftentimes just cut out the little newspaper clipping and paste it in the book. So the first thing you need to do is you need to start compiling a list of buyers and sellers. Oh, there it is. It was back here somewhere. Shit. Fuck. Well, here's one of them anyway. So this was sellers. So here's loans and guarantees. Distributorships, entrepreneurs. A lot of business opportunities I put in here as well. Zig Ziglar. Oh, there's a lot of cool shit in here. How to sell more to more people. How to increase sales. Buy at wholesale. Additional income. Well, I'm not seeing a whole lot of stuff in here. But anyway, this was the idea that I was talking about earlier. Of course, this was 30 years ago before computers, so. Okay, so getting back to the booklet here, which I'm going to be reprinting and rewriting for my own concept. So what I was going to be talking about earlier was the way that a lot of things that are sold today The concepts and ideas are not new. This has been going on for 40, 50 years, even longer. So let me just talk about that briefly. So this booklet was free, and it contains a ton of information, and it literally is like a blueprint, and a business plan. In fact, I implemented something similar to this when I was talking earlier. I may have mentioned this. The unclaimed property division of the states have billions and billions of dollars in money that is owed to people, and you can go out and send them a letter and tell them that this money is theirs and help them recover it. And you do that in exchange for a 15 or 20% commission. But in any event, so the first thing is to find contacts and then get started. You have your stationery, your envelopes, your labels, your email, whatever. And now you have to find opportunities. So you have to find out who's buying and who's selling. And then you have to start matching the buyers with the sellers. And again, you do that with the email. Your search for blank has interested me. I believe I have someone that can satisfy that. If you'll be clearly stating a finder's fee, I'd be glad to connect the two of you together. And then you have the non-advertised finder's fees. Now this gets into the wholesaling real estate. For one. And then the other thing about selling, if you can buy 1,000 widgets for $1 a piece and you can sell them for $2 a piece, you need to get that commitment from the buyer that they're going to buy them from you. You don't want to be putting out your money to buy these things and then have them back out of the deal. So I'll talk later about how to work that out. So, but the biggest thing is you got to find it first, right? You got to find what's being offered and then match it up with somebody who's looking to buy. That's just how it works in real estate, right? You go driving for dollars, as Ron LeGrand says. You find an old property, run down, overgrown vegetation, an old roof that's fallen down, and if I got a facelift, how much younger I'd look. Wow, look at that. Well, anyway. So, let's see. Determine what the client's looking for. Think about who might supply it. Research, contact, qualify. Daisy chain. You want to try and avoid daisy chains. That's where you end up with another finder, and then they're with another finder, and so you're just kind of going in a circle, and you're not really getting to sellers. You really want to stick with working with end buyers and end sellers. You don't want to get stuck in the middle of a daisy chain. You got the email, you got the post office, you got the telephone, we got texting now, so there's a lot of stuff today that they didn't have back in '87. Real estate, we talked about it a little bit. Keyword is patience. And so, just like today, there's all kinds of people out there giving you free information, free documents, free webinars, free seminars. But at the end, They're always trying to sell you something. They want you to sign up for the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and this guy does the same thing. So he's got a monthly newsletter. He calls it the Finder's Fee Opportunities, and he's got his little order form right here in the back of this free booklet. And for only $36 a year for a 1-year subscription, you get this access to all these different finder's fee opportunities. And this is the same thing they're doing today. You know, Facebook, YouTube, they're telling you all free information, free download. And then at the end, they're always trying to sell you something. So this guy's doing the same thing. Last page, 10 Commandments of Finding. Thou shalt find it first. Thou shalt find it yourself. Thou shalt qualify all leads. Thou shalt not participate in a daisy chain. Thou shalt not accept offers over the phone. Thou shalt get it in writing. Do not give any information over the phone. You have to earn your finder's fee. Treat your clients well. Research, research, research. So, there you go. So, guess what? I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to update it for 2025, and then I'm going to copyright my version, and I'm going to post it on Facebook and YouTube as a free download. So, be on the lookout for this in the next week or so. Thanks so much.